And you know what the standard is still the same.
That's what I
Well,
was
it's
saying.
the stay open.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
it's lovely, isn't it?
My husband has the Christmas lights.
Oh, right.
So I guess that's right. Yes.
Always about that. That's lovely.
Absolutely. Thank you. I trust you.
South of Carp Break is the great flat village, marked by modern life and engine houses, and one of the most interesting features of Holman Mine. Famous throughout the world, the great flat village is built all there to ground, about 50 miles running off the east and west. It was so rich that several mines flourished along its great length, and many engine houses were erected wide up to the south, all working to roads as well as wealth and metals. Many of the mines were started from copper, but near the middle of the 19th century, reserves dwindled. The mine stones of the construction could be found at greater depth. This was to provide great wealth for landowners, mining adventurers, and bring further employment to the towns of Redwood and Hamburg.
It goes through in a normal queue, so you can't.
I'll nail it on if it's loose. Doing a full video tour, away, how wonderful. I've got one of them down here for
In the coal mine, yeah. Without the helmet.
Gonna pull in a bit and everybody, some more up the back there, I think. This tunnel you're in at the moment is not original. This was put in by what I call the exploration team. Back in the late 60s, early 70s, they dug this tunnel in looking for what they call old man's workings. Doesn't mean there's any old men here, it just means it was an old mine. And when they found the old mine, the tunnels were only this high. About 3'6" high. And you can imagine those 11-year-old boys walking around pushing the wheelbarrows in that. They would have been bent double all day. And but don't worry, they've made it bigger, they've made it higher, and they've made it wider. And I swear to God, it's not because they knew that I was coming. It's been done for those terrible words, health and safety. But as I said, we've had to adhere to quite a few safety regulations. But you will get the atmosphere of what it was like for those miners. Now as we walk around, you will see numbers written on the rocks. Right behind this gentleman here with this newfangled camera, there's a number 19 left. That's 19 feet below grass. 19 feet above the roof there is grass. We're walking into the hillside on the level. The hillside is going to go higher. Cheating, aren't we? It's going to go higher and higher. We are technically getting deeper and deeper underground. Okay? But we're going to walk in on the level for quite a way. And then most of you are going to go down the staircase to lower depths, swim across a nice little river, and up the other side. Okay? I don't do that bit because I forgot my bathers. All right? I'm not going to go skinny dipping for anybody. All right, behind me now, we're going to wander through here. On the second corner on the left, there's a shaft that goes up to the surface. And that is called the shammeling shaft, or shoveling shaft. There would have been wooden platforms with a man on every platform at about, 2 metre intervals. They would shovel rock from around their feet up to a man above them, above their head. That man would then shovel the rock up above him. It's like a conveyor belt of men just shoveling rock right at the surface. Very easy. Labour was so cheap. Do that for 12 hours a day, you'd move a lot of muck, can't you? So that's the shammeling shaft, okay? You look up there as you pass through, and then we'll go and have a look at some tea. Right this way. Mind the step at the end, and then look up to the left at the shammeling shaft.
Oh my goodness, it's a shoveling stuff up there.
There's a couple of platforms missing on the lower levels, but you can get the idea of what it was like. Can you move down to about somewhere about a bit further back, so get a good view then.
Oh, yeah.
Just that everybody can. So imagine shoveling the rock up that Chamonix shaft. The boy at the bottom that started the process off would have to be very quick and nimble on his feet. Any rock that fell down would sort of like snowball effect, would bring all rocks down. He'd have to be quick to get out of the way. The man at the top would be the oldest man and the wisest man. He had no danger from above. That man had worked his way up the ladder. That's where the expression comes from. It's a mining term, and very little danger from above. You pull down in a bit here a minute, so you can see on the side here, you can see where my lamp is there now. You can see this blue seam, blue-black seam. Now that seam goes all the way around here, all the way up over, all the way up over the top, and down the other side. And it actually comes down behind that pipe over there. Behind you, you can see over there. It's a great big sheet of it lying right across here at an angle. It's always found at an angle. You can imagine the granite forcing its way up, sort of semi-molten towards the surface, and it brings up with it that blue peach. So it's always found at an angle. Now, for some reason, the reason I won't bore you with, because it's highly, highly scientific. That's another way of saying I don't understand it myself. Is that it's always found running in the same direction. It's all to do with the Earth's crust folding and things like this. It's always found running in the same direction. It's not. It's almost north-south. It's not magnetic north-south, but it's always found running in the same direction. They always run parallel, these things. The miners knew that. They didn't understand why. They couldn't read or write, but they always knew that they did. Now the reason that they left that one there, that you can see this great big thick seam, is because it's very poor grade. It's very poor. It's 0.2%. To get a ton of tin out of that, I always set a problem for the school children then. How much sewage you got to dig? 500 tons. 500 tons of black stuff you're going to dig out to get a ton of tin. With that, you dig 1,000 tons of granite, because you don't just dig out the blue peach. And then you've got to pump all that water as well. 30,000 gallons of water a day we pump. They didn't have pumps, they had boys with buckets and ropes. 30,000 gallons a day. Well, that's why that's left there. It's poor grade and it's not worth digging out. Wouldn't pay their wages. Okay? Right, we're going to move down through and we're going to go around the corner. Like to walk this way? I can walk that way, I wouldn't leave the talcum powder. Now as you pass along this tunnel, you'll come underneath this little shaft. It's called a winze. It's a ventilation shaft, bringing in fresh air from above. It's also a way of drop rock down from above down to this level, because all the work is done on this level. So it's called the winze, or ventilation shaft. But more importantly, it's where Ross Poldark lent his ladder on episode 1, where he entered the mine for the first time. Came down the mine with his cousin, walked along a flooded tunnel, if you remember, and the cousin fell down in the water, and he should have left him down there. But he didn't, he pulled him out. That was this tunnel. We flooded this tunnel purposely for them to do that, and that is where the ladder was leaning. Boring, isn't it? So you'll be passing underneath the ghost of Ross Poldark. And I'll show you in a minute the bit where the rock falls on him and kills him. Oh no, I didn't tell you that, am I? No, it doesn't happen. Don't worry. Come up here and film down. Come on. There. You can film everybody then if you move along. So you won't be in it then, will you? You're going to stay in the middle. I'm going to try and get everybody in if I can. I don't like leaving the people out behind. There's 26 of us. There was when we started. Bit I like when people keep hitting their head on the sign that says "Come on your head." Keep putting down in if we can. Let's see if we can get everybody down here. Everybody can see me and hear me. No problem hearing me. Remember, I said that the loads always run in the same direction. Couldn't explain why. So they always run parallel. Now if a miner was working a load of tin and he wanted to find more tin, he would dig a crosscut, which is a tunnel at right angles. He'd dig that at right angles, keep it level, keep it straight, and he would find tin again, because they always run parallel. He didn't know how far apart they were going to be, but he knew that they would find tin. Now, this tunnel that you're in now is a crosscut. There's absolutely no tin whatsoever in this. But it joins up two tin loads. One at that end, where the man started digging a crosscut, and he dug this tunnel looking for tin, and he found it down that end. And it took him 4 months, we reckon. You know, measuring it all up, pacing it out, we reckon it took him about 4 months to get to that end. During that time, he was earning 3 pence a day. He was on tuck work, which is a basic pay, basic wage. You're not producing tin, you're on 3pence a day. After that, if you're producing tin, you go into tribute, you sign contracts, how much meterage you make, how much tin you get out, all these contracts you can sign to increase your wages. But while he was digging this, he was on 3 pence a day. Hammer, chisel, candle in his hat, get on with it. Off you go. It's nearly 300 years ago he dug this tunnel. But he wouldn't have dug it this high. Now back about your shoulder height there, madam. Sorry I've shown you. Right there, you can see where the rock changes above and below. Above is nice and smooth. That's been machined out by the exploration team. Down below is hammer and chisel. So that's the height of the original tunnel. 11-year-old boys wheeling the wheelbarrows up and down here. They probably had another 3, 4, maybe even 6 inches lower, because underneath these boards, you know, they wouldn't have had boards. They would have gone down into the mud, into the stone, and down into a V in the middle. So the water could run, and they also would keep their wheel of their wheelbarrow in the centre. But don't think for a minute we abused our children. We looked after them. We looked after our children. I mean, they only did a 10-hour day. The men did 12. They only did 10. And when the Wesleyans came in, the Methodism came into the area, they said, look after your children. They must have a day of play and a day of pray. So we gave them Saturdays off, and Sundays they went to chapel. So they only did a 50-hour week. Easy in those days, didn't they? I can't get my grandchildren out of bed Sunday afternoon.
That's all right. Keep going.
They've fallen in on top of each other, so there'll be 3 or 4 there above each other, and you can see the actual load in the middle. So those tunnels follow the load all the way. They had it at one time, it was very busy. They had sort of automatons and you play music and sounds of miners and things like that. Then it became Hagley Park, where you could just come in for a Hagley and walk around the gardens. And it's had lots and lots of owners over the years.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a mine like this is a complete money pit. It costs us, as I say, we're pumping 30,000 gallons of water every day. Pumps are going constantly, fans are going constantly, winter and summer. I mean, during the winter we don't earn any money at all, but we've still got to keep the mine empty. Why? I mean, it went bankrupt, went into receivership last year again. That's the 3rd time. David has bought it now. I think to myself, why? Why would a man of mid-60s, buy something like this? We just love it. I aren't down here for the money. I'm down here because I just love it. The occasional court case I get fed up with when I lose tourists, but but I get it.
That's part of the job.
Yes, it is, yeah. Do you want to pull down right down in? You looked up and you saw those. You saw the stopes where the miners were working up there. It's at an angle, and it's also it's exactly the same angle as this wall here on the right. You see this little wall on the right, and if you wanted to eye it up, you can eye it up. It's exactly the same angle. So, everything in the mine lies at an angle, and for that reason, this wall on my right, up here, there's always a risk of it falling in. So it's called the hanging wall. So they would leave great big lumps of rock to stop it falling in, or if they had problems with the roof giving way, they would put wooden beams in. Now you're standing at the moment in probably the most dangerous part of the mine, because they've had a roof fall. But don't worry about it, I'm quite safe over here. That is Norwegian spruce. That has been wedged up tight, and once it's in there tight, it gets wet, swells up and goes even tighter. Norwegian spruce is very high in resin, and that piece of wood, kept wet, high in resin, will last 100 years. Hold up that roof for 100 years. Anybody got any questions?
How long has it been up there?
There's always one. I said to a group of children when they said that. I said, it's been there exactly 120. And normally they all scream and run. Not this group, they sang happy birthday to it. No, that teaches me, doesn't it? No, that's been there about 40 years or something like that. It's actually doing something, but now we've got these big bolts in there, which is a modern way of doing it. Big threaded bolts put in with the epoxy resin, nuts on the end. It holds all the cracks in the rock together. They test them with x-rays actually to make sure. So it's all quite safe down here. It's an iron standard.
Is there no external funding for?
Not now, they've had all the funding over the years. We've had all, I think they've had all, previous owners have had all the grants and the money available. Yeah, there's nothing left now. Can we all pull in, get as many on this grill as we can? There's plenty of room back here. I'll go down a bit further, but sort that hill, right?
Way down there.
Keep it coming, keep it one. Try and get everybody into it. I only have to do it once, actually. So we're in East Shaft. This is the way the miners would have come in. The miners would have come down this shaft above our heads here now. There's no light up there, but I'll show you in a second. In a moment, sir, when we go down the staircase, if you just stay at the top, I'll you can give me a piggyback, right? Well, we'll work our own way back there somehow. All right. Go on in. Let's have a. This is, as I said, East Shaft. This is the way the miners would have come in. For those of you behind there, so you're able to see when we come through. But it's a shaft that goes up to the surface. It's 80 foot up, 80 foot to surface, and there's a wooden ladder bolted to the side of the shaft. That is how the miners would have got in and out of the mine. A wooden ladder. 80 feet down here, then another 80 feet down to the bottom. 160 feet on wet, slippery ladders. At the end of their shift, they'd have to climb back up again, carrying their tools. Very dangerous time. But 160 foot to them is nothing. Some of the mines in Cornwall were 1,200. 15 times the height of that. 15 times that 80 foot again. And they would still have to do it on wooden ladders, carrying the tools up and down. Even carrying a pasty down. Who's going to let the pasty? So that was the most dangerous time, is coming down these wooden ladders. Okay? Now I'm going to go down part of the way and see you down the staircase, and then I'm going to come back up and this gentleman's going to help me. We're going to go back the easy route. What I want you to do when you get down to the bottom of here, whoever's in front, you sir, when you get to the bottom of the metal staircase, just stop. Then everybody can cram up behind you. I want all 26 of you or all 25 of you on the staircase so that I can talk to you, all right? And then when I set you off again, you just turn left and come up some nice concrete steps up into the next chamber, by which time I will be there waiting for you, hopefully. Okay, so we're going to head down now, down to the lower depths.
You go first and if I fall, I'll come on.
Thank you, Linda. You're kind of
I'm not very
Just don't, I mean, if you come off the metal steps, it doesn't matter, just don't wander away. The magic word, if I disappear, is up, alright? Alright. Just keep that head up, don't head down. Can. When you get to the bottom, if you stop and cram up nice and tight, then I can talk to you. Well, trim. That is the most difficult bit of the lot. It's getting limboing underneath that one.
Yeah.
Right, you're at the bottom of the metal, are you? Yeah, just stay there and then let them catch up with you. Right, there you are, and I'll Now while you're on the staircase, folks, there's one place that we haven't been. We're not going there, I'm afraid. It's the main shaft. The main shaft is where they would have actually dragged the rock up in a bucket. It's called the horse whim shaft. And that is the only place they would have had any mechanisation. There would have been a horse walking around a circle in the field, working a winch or a whim. And that whim would have pulled a chain, which would have hung down the mine. On the end of the chain would be a big steel bucket called a kibble. You might have seen the kibble in the museum as you came through. Great big steel bucket. There's one up there now, it's steep to death. But that's about the size of the kibble. That would be for pulling the rock up the surface. That would have been the only form of mechanisation. The man would have had to come down the ladder above, and then another ladder, same as that, down this wall. They wouldn't have had this metal staircase. The water you see running down the wall is not a tap. We haven't turned the tap on for the show. That is natural. It's like that even in drought seasons. We've always got water down here. There's always water problems. Now we've had a pump that packed up the last couple of days, and we're now struggling like mad to stop the bottom of this mine flooding. When you get to the bottom of this stairs, that's the deepest we can go, unless you want to swim. And the water is deathly cold. Now I hear you say, why is he talking this load of rubbish when we're stuck here wet and cold? You've been here 2 or 3 minutes. Those miners would have spent 12 hours in this. Arthritis, rheumatism, pneumonia, plus hard work. They didn't have a hearty breakfast like you had. They would have had a bit of bread and dripping if they were lucky. Okay, so spare a thought for those poor miners that spent 12 hours a day down here. I know it's only 6 days a week, but... Right then, folks, if you want to make your way down the staircase carefully, at the bottom, turn left and come up the stone steps. Mind your head. It gets lighter as you go up around. And stop in the next chamber. There's a seat there at the top, and I'll be there in a few minutes. Me and this gentleman up here are going to join the Mile Deep Club.
It's pretty, like I said, it's fun there.
So it must have been.
That's the thing.
5% of us aren't.
It's all right then. It'll be wet then, won't it? Wet, miserable, cold. Can you imagine spending 12 hours then and working hard? And that's why the Cornish miners wanted so much to get abroad. Conditions were a lot better in other countries, money was better. But the mine owners got fed up with losing their best miners going abroad. So they started paying them in tokens. And those tokens could only be spent in certain shops. And those shops were owned by the mine owners. So, it's total dominance. But somehow they managed to get money together and send maybe the oldest son abroad. He would keep his ear open for other jobs going in mines abroad. And he would send for his younger brothers, his father, maybe the whole family, if he made his fortunes out there. So eventually loads and loads of Cornish miners have migrated all over the world. Tens of thousands of them. They say wherever you find a hole in the ground, there'll be a Cornishman at the bottom of it. It's something we're very, very proud of. This gentleman here, who was a coal miner, he was one of the Bebbing boys in the Second World War. And coal mines have got their own dangers, different dangers to the tin mines. Of course you're underground, of course there's a load of rock on top of your head. The coal mines have got the gas, we got water. We do have a gas of our own down here, which is radon gas, which is stale radioactive gas. So if when you shower tonight, if you find that you're glowing a little bit, don't worry about it. It will go away in a few months. Okay. This chamber is called the Holman Chamber. Holmans were featured on that video as a foundry and a place for making mining equipment. Very, very big employer in Camborne, and they were the first inventors of the rock drill that drilled the rock driven by compressed air. That rock drill drilled it dry. That's the problem. They gave off a dust. Dust got onto the miner's lung, gave them a disease called silicosis. Silicosis killed off hundreds of miners, and they nicknamed the rock drill the Widowmaker. So there's no nice ending to this story either. There's no fairy godmother waving magic wands and things. Anybody nowadays that lives or works underground, earns his money underground mining, earns every penny he gets. His life is in danger every bit of the day. And you've got to really take our hats off to them if we're allowed to do our Holmans. But this chamber now, is the Holman Chamber, is used for bands and choirs to perform and recording. The acoustics are very good. We also have got it licensed for weddings. You can get married in this chamber. Wonderful, isn't it? Why? But it does get used. Also, it gets used as a film set. That wall behind you over there is where most of the filming done underground you'll see in the Poldark series, where they're hitting the rock and the sparks are flying. That's where it was done. Mainly because this chamber is nice and big, they could get a good film crew around, good sound crew, and we've got electricity nearby, and they didn't have to come too far underground. So this is part of the film set that was used, again, for Poldark. And also the letterbox gets used. Any post that goes in there gets a special franking put on it, posted for Poldark Mine, deepest post box in Britain. 30 feet of rock above us, but we're above ground level, funnily enough, natural ground level outside. We're about 20 feet above the grass, but there's still 30 foot of rock above us. So we're going to have to go down some steps to go out, no more climbing, okay? It's easy. Now as we leave, the first little tunnel you see on the left is almost dark. That shows you the lighting conditions that they would have worked in. Because candles they had to buy, remember, they would use them very sparingly. Secondly, we've got a wishing well. If anybody wants to make a wish, the miners are very superstitious. So they put the previous owner put a wishing well in to get money. We've turned it into a charity wishing well, and any money that gets put in there goes to my beer fund. Oh, it goes to Cornwall Air Ambulance this year. It was my beer fund last year. It goes to Cornwall Air Ambulance. So if you want to just throw a coin in there, they'd much appreciate that. And lastly, we can look down that winze, that ventilation shaft where Ross Poldark lent his ladder. Try not to drool too much down the ladies, this is where the pumps won't take it away. And then finally we're going to go out into Cornish sunshine. Is that a promise? I even want to know what Cornish sunshine is. I've got soaked in Cornish sunshine. I've been in Breton sunshine for the last 5 days.
Oh, lovely man.
Except that it rained every day.
Open the fur.
Them dirty, yeah.